Hey, what's up, guys? Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are from East Hollywood, California. And today I'll be answering your guys' questions from last night's Q&A submission. Got some pretty good ones, I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting a lot more troll action from the comment section, but not the case. Pretty good questions. I'm gonna just dive right into it, and I'm gonna read it off the phone. Uh, Pretty much from the first one up until the last one that I'm cutting off right now. Oh, but before anything else, I want to do a quick shout out to Jess Night Owl, a subscriber of mine. Very sweet woman. She very insightful too. I've learned from her as well. I'm hoping she learned from me. You know, like she's reached out to me over social media and told me about her story with cirrhosis, and I shared my story with cirrhosis. And it's just really nice, you know, like communicating with other people in the same situation as you. Like I said, it's a disease that not much people have, and not much people understand, for that matter. So, yeah, Jess, appreciate you. In case you're watching. Okay, question number one. This is from Priscilla Diaz 19. Hi, Kevin. Been keeping up on your videos. I'm glad to see you're doing much better. Keep it up. My question is, what made you want to get sober? It's kind of a tough one. I guess I've always wanted to be sober. I wasn't ready yet. I kept making excuses for myself. You know, I figured I had more time, or I wasn't really hurting anyone, but I've been trying for years, and I never really had like the moment of clarity, I guess, where you're just like, where you really know you just don't want it to do it anymore. You know, you know what you're doing deep down. You know you're hurting the people around you, and loved ones, friends, etc., etc. It's just not enough yet. It's hard to explain, especially like the way I just abruptly quit one time. You know, my sober date is February 19th of this year, 2025, and it literally was just a moment of like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, it wasn't the day I got diagnosed with liver cirrhosis. It was just I have no idea, but I think it was time, and the right time too. Because according to my doctors, if I would have kept drinking, I probably wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. So, yeah. Hope that answers your question. Okay. Jenny Ricardo 2020, 22-4 says, new subby from Indiana. How did your partner deal with your recovery process? Ask her. She didn't take it very well. But what I appreciate the most, and I will always be thankful for this, she didn't push me. You know, she was around for me when I was like bad and good, and towards the end when I was just stubborn. I didn't want to listen to anybody, and she still didn't judge. She didn't give me ultimatums, anything like that. She just listened, and she believed in me. You know, a lot of people didn't believe me. They just wrote me off as some drunk with no ambitions. You know. A lot of people were like, hey, you have so much going for yourself. Why throw it all away? And I would just be like, shut up, you know, like, but with her, she didn't talk to me like that, you know. She didn't talk to me like that. She actually said, hey, I get it. The moment you're ready, you know, I'm here. And she stuck by me through every doctor's appointment, every hospital visit, every moment of, hold on. Every time you want to cry, every time you feel guilty about something, she was there. So, you know, I owe my life to her. She knows who she is, and I'm sure she's watching. Well, yeah, of course, she's my partner, as she says. So, she's at work right now. She's probably gonna see this when she gets back. Okay, my crew 866 says, "Hey there. How many times did you try to get sober prior to this time? And did you have a rock bottom? If it's too personal, I completely understand. No worries. Hope you're doing well." No, not too personal at all, bro. How many times? Too many. Way too many times. I can confidently say I've been trying to quit drinking for the last 10 years. So I'd say, what, over 1,000 relapses, you know? Keep telling yourself, oh, that's it, today's the day, and then you make it like on day 15, and then you notice that, nah, you just like, whatever, I'm not ready to quit yet. So you just start drinking again. And yeah, my rock bottom, you really want to know, was when you start drinking stuff out of plastic containers. You know what I'm talking about? Crystal Palace, the Evan Williams, the Taka, the Smirnoff, the little 99 shooters, you know, those bad boys. Yeah, that's how you know you're bad, because those things are no more than $5. But it's disgusting. It's like sludge. Your breath smells like metal and death. Your eyes become yellow, and you just buy it with money that you don't have. You know, you start looking for any way to get like your $5-10 for the day, and it's absolutely pathetic. And if it's not enough, you start hanging out with people who still have money, but don't. I was gonna say, like, they don't care that you're like this. They're willing to just drink with you just because you're just as much of a drunk as they are. So I started doing that. And then looking back, I am so embarrassed. So embarrassed because you'd catch me like sitting in like corners of the street and stuff and thinking no one notices, but they notice. They notice. Of course they notice. You know? Anyways. Okay, this is Courtney Coco 907. You are so brave and inspiring. I'm so happy to see you doing better. I said that backwards. I was just curious what your major is in school. Medical billing. Medical billing and coding. That's what I want to go into. I was going to graduate in April, but obviously I just had surgery, so I had to postpone that. Also, were your eyelid tattoos the most painful out of all your tattoos? I wish I had a high pain tolerance like you. Take care and God bless. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. Not only does it hurt, it don't feel right. There's no situation where a needle should be that close to your eye. I guess, but no, hell no. That's just like life or death. But once it starts, you're like, you know what, I'm already here. Screw it. I'm just gonna go for it. But yeah, it's the worst 2 hours of my life. Cool. Thanks for asking. So at MMM9188 says, hello. What's the inspiration for all your tattoos? I know they often tell a story or hold significance. Thank you. Inspiration. I always knew I wanted to be tattooed since I was a kid. I remember being like 4 or 5 years old, seeing people with tattoos, and I'm like, I definitely want to look like that guy right there. And then I got really into art, not drawing art, just admiring it from afar. Got really into like buying paintings and stuff from early on, and I don't know, like I just figured, I was like, why not put art on my body? You know, I'm a tattoo collector. I've been tattooed by many people. They're not all just one style. I've been tattooed by at least 15, 20 people. Most of them my friends, professional tattoo artists. So definitely a benefit to have friends in the industry, because you're not paying that crazy amount of money for them. What was your first tattoo and how old were you? Okay, what's about tattoo questions? I was 19 or 20, and it's this like, hold on. It's this like snake Japanese Leviathan thing. I remember the day I got it too. It was not at all what I thought my first tattoo was gonna be, but there's this artist that my friend followed on Instagram, and he put up the design. He's like, anybody want this one? I'm giving it away for $300. And I don't know why, I was like, yo, dude, you have $300. If you don't do this now, you're never gonna do it, because you know your first tattoo is the worst one, because you don't know what to expect, or you know you're afraid of infection, or you don't know how the process works. And then obviously I know now that it's really not that big of a deal. Just as long as you have a high pain tolerance, that's all that really matters. And if you love it, you know. This one was the question, so I'm not gonna read it. But Jamie Johnson, I see you. S Blue 808 says, hi Kevin, you're a fighter, keep fighting. Thanks bro, appreciate that. My question is, how did you actually get sober, and how do you maintain your sobriety? Are you in a program, or is it more of you just being able to do it? Good question. Very good question, actually. Like I said, it's I just had a day. I remember like I said, I was diagnosed August of last year, and I kept drinking hardcore up until February of this year. And February 19th, someone's birthday, actually my partner's birthday, let me clarify. I like say partner. It's a woman. I don't know why I keep saying it as if it's like a dog or something. But yeah, it was her birthday, and I just looked over at her and I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And she looked at me like, "You're serious, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm dead serious. I don't want to do this anymore." You know, and that was that's how I did it. You know, I knew always knew it was a bad thing. I've seen family members and friends throw their life away to alcohol, and I always knew as a kid I knew that's something I didn't want to do. You know, I still don't want to do. I'm 29 now, and I'm hoping that the cycle breaks with me. You know, I have kids myself, and I don't want them to see what I saw growing up. But we'll get back to that later. Are you in a program? No. I went to a couple AA meetings, and I had a close family member of mine go to rehab multiple times, and the idea of those things, personally, turned me off so much that it was enough for me to like, okay, you got to stay sober, or you're gonna end up in this place. Like, you're gonna end up at these meetings that make you uncomfortable, and you're gonna end up at this place far away from your family and your friends and your resources. And I just didn't want that, you know. And then that actually helped. It scared me straight. I visited that person in rehab, and I was like, this looks miserable. I never want to end up here. Went to a couple AA meetings. I wanted to leave as soon as I got there. And it scared me straight. I was like, you know what? I don't want to be like these people. No offense, you know what I mean? Like, it works for a lot of people. It does. It just didn't work for me. It kind of did the opposite. It kind of scared me straight, you know? So, yeah. Okay. Brenende Celine 337. What was the hardest part about being an alcoholic? Was it ever fun? All of it is hard, you know? Building up a tolerance, having the money for it, hiding it, you know, being able to function, finding a new way to function while being intoxicated and pretty much living on this poison on a daily basis. You know, at some point in my life, I didn't want to do anything unless I was drunk. You know, I didn't want to cut my hair unless I was drunk. And if I knew I was gonna go do something, like go to the DMV to like renew my plates on my car or something, I had to make sure I drank just enough liquor beforehand. That way, it would kick in as I'm waiting in the DMV, kind of like a reservoir of alcohol for my future buzz. And even then, towards the end of like your 6 hours of waiting at the DMV, you're like, holy hell, like, can this hurry up already? I gotta go, you know, like this. Was it ever fun? Absolutely. I'd be a liar if I said it wasn't fun. It was very, very fun. Some of my best memories were drunk. Some of my best friendships were made drunk. I got married drunk. I had my kids drunk, you know, like, I traveled drunk. You know, I mean, I didn't really travel. I moved states, whatever. You know, some people get real sensitive about that kind of stuff. But yeah, was that ever fun? It was fun until it wasn't fun. And when it stops being fun, that's when it really hits the fan. It's like, it's not worth it. That's my answer to that. Okay, woman in the wilderness. I see this name in a lot. Shout out to you. Does addiction run in your family? Yes, it does. My dad's side of the family, all raging alcoholics. To this day, my aunt, who I consider my grandma instead, she's like at the very, very end of her cirrhosis. She's 66 and she still lives every day off of liquor and beer. I have no idea how she does it. She has a tips shunt place and everything. She still functions. We don't know. She's had her stomach drained, but every single time I see her, she's sloshed, and she's still alive, still kicking to this day. She's been drinking since probably like 10. You know, I'm Guatemalan, in case anyone was wondering, and my whole family's Guatemalan, so they came from Guatemala. I can only imagine at what age they start drinking over there. You know what I mean? So, and then one of my parents, I'm not gonna say who, I grew up watching him. Ah, shoot, there you go. My father. My father was an alcoholic. He's sober now. We talk about sobriety all the time. My father, I watched him drink his life away because he wasn't happy. And I understand him now. Before I was a kid, I didn't really understand why he was doing what he did. But I understand now. Like, he was just miserable. He hated coming home. He hated his job. He hated his car. He hated his clothes. Everything. You know, probably hated his family at the time. You know, we're super cool now. We're like best friends. But it is what it is. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait, oh, sorry. Like I said, yeah, just cousins and aunts, uncles. Yeah, grew up every single time. Knows anyone's birthday party where it's a baby, an aunt, cousin, or a dog or a cat. Best believe they were drunk. And best believe they were always driving home after fighting with each other, wasted. And that was my normalness. Okay, Lynn Morel, 5137, says, at what moment did you decide that your life was worth fighting for? Mine was seeing the fear in my daughter's eyes when she saw my condition. I'm sorry to hear that. That's it's messed up because my kids are seeing that now, so I get you. February 19th, that was my moment when I realized I matter. You know, it wasn't just the people I loved, that I also mattered. That was my moment. Oh, yeah. Maybe I should add that to the last question. Definitely realizing that you're just as important is a huge step, you know? Like, you do got to do it for yourself, too. You got to learn to love yourself. Okay, next question. Steve Donham asks, are you able to share a version of the wisdom that you've gained recently and shed a light on how your priorities have changed? Good question, and yes. I learned humility. I was such a douche for so long, and I hurt a lot of people, and I was mean to a lot of people. I still kind of am. I'm trying to work on it, but I'm very sarcastic. Not everyone deserves that. But I realize now that all the things I thought mattered in life before don't really matter now. They don't. You know, they really don't. It's the little things in life, and it's the things that are most important. The things that were in front of you the entire time. It's so crazy to me that it was right in front of my face the entire time. Happiness was right there. And I was too wasted to notice. And then now you start to appreciate every little thing. Like real, genuine friends and family. I love hanging out with them. I love talking to them on the phone. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna go grocery shop. You wanna come? Yeah, I'd love to. Hey, I'm gonna go cut my hair. You wanna come over? Yeah, sure. Like, hey, one of my homies is on house arrest. Yeah, I know, right? Stereotype, right? That's what the comment section is saying. And he's like, hey man, you want to come over and have some dinner? I was like, yeah, of course, dude. It's not like you're going anywhere. When you see this, please don't get mad at me, bro. Okay. Okay, Vladik614. Hi, Kevin. I have a question. What was the main reason for your drinking? Is it something related to your personality, or you just like to party and to have a good time? Good question, bro. That's a good question. Let's see. Okay. Okay. You know what? I think it's both, to be honest with you, bro. I think it's both. I did have a good time. You know, I was bored. I was very lonely a lot of my life, you know, believe it or not. No amount of friends or kids or anything like that will ever suffice until you actually learn to love yourself. So I just got so wasted and told myself, oh, look where I'm at. Look at my friends. Look what I'm hanging out with. Like, look at my nice stuff. My nice clothes, which I no longer have. Like, this is what matters and blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, I was just lying to myself. You know, when you're drinking and stuff, yeah. You guys know what I'm talking about. You, that's not even your personality, man. It's not who you are. It's a false persona I learned over time because I'm kind of shy, believe it or not. I'm shy. Thank goodness I was a bartender for so long. Taught me how to socialize, it taught me the definition of what it's like to be cool, not to be cringy. You know, like how to speak to everybody, right? Some dude just banged out, you be like, "What's up, fool? What's up, bro?" Or like the nice guy, like, "Hello, so how you doing today?" You know, things like that. Like, am I going off topic here? But yeah, I hope that answers your question, man. You know, okay. Chris Slick 84. What was your childhood like growing up, and do you think it contributed to your addiction? Great question again. Uh, you know, yeah. So, Sorry, I have to adjust the brightness in the thing. Losing sun over here. My childhood was nice enough. It was nice enough having, two immigrant parents, barely spoke English, did what they could, came to the United States looking for a better life. But they also had their demons they didn't know about. So they did what they could. They did what they knew. But it did damage me and my brother, It's just me and my brother out here. We're the first ones born here in the United States. I don't know if I should be saying that. But it's the truth, We speak fluent English and fluent Spanish. Shout out to my parents for that. It's a very nice skill to have. It definitely contributes to my addiction. Seeing my father drink like 18 packs in a row, and then still go to work the next day. I thought that's what men do. Before he played soccer, he drank, right? Before he drove, he drank. Like, as long as he paid the bills, he drank, and no one could tell him anything. I thought that's what men do, right? But I learned quickly that it's not cool. It's not okay. No, we actually talked about that yesterday, believe it or not. Or grocery shopping. Well, he was grocery shopping because he doesn't live in the same part of town as I do, but whatever. You know what I mean, guys. All right, Sticky Icky 669 says, wonderful to see you doing so well. My question, do you feel that the supernatural or spiritual side of life exists? If so, has it played any role in your recovery process? Absolutely. I don't know if you guys see it, and it doesn't really mean much to a lot of people, and I understand that. I have two crosses on my face. And before I go into why that's there, I'll tell you. I was atheist for so long, I was this college know-it-all kid who thought he was better than everybody. And I was like, I'm not dumb. I don't need this kind of stuff. But, and then at some point, I started to question everything. Once science stopped being enough for me, I was like, this can't be it. There has to be more to life. And so I started to think about spirituality, like what's more to life? What is beyond the things that we could see? Science, medicine, things like that. And you start to feel a side of yourself that you never knew was actually there. And I don't know, call me crazy, but it kind of like wakens up like this your spirit, like your soul. You're able to connect with people a lot more easy. As I try not to judge others. There's some people out there who will throw their spirituality in your face. I don't talk to those people, you know what I mean? If I tell them, hey, I'm a Christian, they're going to be like, oh, you're no Christian. There's no way you're a guy like you is Christian. At that moment, I just avoid the conversation because, one, I'm not going to explain myself. I'm a grown-ass man. And two, what the heck does anyone know about that? Like if I tell you something, that's part of my upbringing, literally, then respect it or don't. Either way, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to argue with you about it. But it definitely helped because when I felt like I had nothing else, when medicine and logic was failing me, I looked to other worldly powers, Some people refer to it as gods. Some people refer to it as angels, spirits, other dimension, like whatever you believe in. I actually do think that human beings are capable of tapping into that side of reality. So, okay, Steve Donald, once more. What's up, bro? What has become more important to you, and what is something that you thought was important in your younger days that turned out not to be? What has become important to me is my friends and family and my kids. My kids are included, but anyone that I think is worth it. I'm not talking about the superficial friends and family, the ones that are only around when it's convenient to them or they need something. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the ones that are like for real. They're like one out of a million. Those people are so important to me. My health is important to me. I wouldn't sacrifice it for the world. Today I have 201 days sober. No weed, no alcohol, no cigarettes, nothing. Just fruits, veggies, and the occasional coffee. You know what I mean? Or sometimes Red Bull, but that's me cheating. Yeah. Okay, let's see. And what was something that was important in my younger days that it turned out to be? Vanity, I suppose. Vanity, false wealth. I always thought the nicer the more money you had, the more friends you had, the more women you had, things like, you know, jewelry, stupid things, that was important. You know, so if you were famous, you know, that kind of stuff, it's not, and I don't care for it anymore. I like to live here, you know, in this realm, in the right now. You know, just me and this camera with you guys. That's what's become important to me. Good question. Jess Night Owl, hey. I hope this video gets to people who are alone to ask questions for someone who understands we all need that. You're very brave for opening stuff like this. Not a question, but still thank you. James Alexander, WWE, hey, wrestling fan. When was your last drink and how did you get sober? My last drink was February 19th. I already answered that question. My last drink was liquor store wine, Pinot Grigio. It was my third bottle that day. And then I didn't finish the third bottle. I poured it on the sink and I haven't turned back ever since. Okay, Adam Stead, SSS74. Hey Kevin, good to see you looking good. Your previous profession was bar management. Well, more like mixology bartending. Only managed one time and not for very long, so yeah, not to be approved. Your previous was bar, which you applied yourself fully and was very successful, and yes, I was. I actually missed it every day. Working in bars is like an adrenaline rush like no other, especially when you work in nightclubs in Vegas. That rush of adrenaline, I can't compare it to anything else personally. What would you like to become now as a sober man all these years ahead of you? Also, before your life took the turns of it, did you have any dreams or ambitions to become something else? Basketball player, musician, etc. Hope you're finally doing well. Brother, you too, brother. Peace. I want a normal life and I want a normal job. One that doesn't take such a toll on my personal life, because that's my priority now. Like once I got this close to death, I prioritize happiness and life. What is the point of preparing for bills and, you know, eviction notices if you're dead? You know, I live my life so scared of those things, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, something that could connect me to the world in a positive way and still not be such a hindrance in my life. So I you know, I was brought to a college once. They're like, hey, do you want to trade? I was like, what's a trade? You know, they're like, where do you see me? They're like, well, you're very articulate with your words. I still don't hear. I don't understand when people say that. I feel like I mumble a lot, and then speak kind of barbarically. And they're like, hey, we see you in medical billing and coding. I was like, what's that? And then boom, I'm enrolled now. It's a lot harder than I thought. I remembered. I don't think I'm dumb. I think I'm very smart, but I'm a terrible student. Yeah, and I wanted to be an English teacher, writer, and director before all of this. I love writing. Words to me are like addiction. I have a bunch of words on my face. Here it says resilient, it says exponential, one side says tribulations. Just little words that I find fascinating that help me. They're just little reminders, you know. Exponential, always grow exponentially. Resilient, I'm resilient no matter what. You know, I almost died a couple of days ago, and I didn't. I'm still kind of in shock about it, to be honest with you guys. It's still hitting me like when I woke up. I've only been out of the hospital for 2 weeks. And where was I going with this? I had lost my train of thought. But yeah, I don't know. I guess yeah, I want to do those things. Oh yeah, they're a writer. I want to be a writer. I still love writing. I don't think I ever want to do it professionally, but definitely could see myself doing it for fun. A lot of people tell me to work in writing, but I was like, why destroy something so artistic with deadlines and stuff like that? That's just my personal opinion. Okay, Jonas F2Q3F, what's up? Says love from Finland. What's up, homie? Okay, Felix Galvez 4343. Is your liver somewhat compensated? Are you F4 cirrhosis? I imagine you mean like stage 4. God bless you and have a wonderful day. No, I'm not. In the hospital, I was told that my liver was decompensating. I don't even know what that means. I was too worried about, you know, dying to ask that kind of question. But as of right now, it's compensated. I caught it right on time. Yeah, caught it right on time. And yeah, thankfully I did. I don't know what stage of cirrhosis I am, but my doctors say, like, if you ever go back to doing anything close to what you were doing before, you know what's gonna happen. You know, like you're gonna croak, and it's not gonna be a fun process. I still to this day feel very embarrassed that I was told I had cirrhosis, and I still drank for like what, another 9, 8 months, just throwing in the towel. But I snapped out of it right on time, and I'm very thankful that I did. Okay, I don't know if this guy's trolling me or something, but ZJinPHX. I only asked if he's trolling because in his default photo the dude's half naked, and if you're not, hey man, more power to you. Who's the coolest, wackiest, or most interesting dude in your neighborhood? I'm kind of obsessed with where you live. I'm trying to answer that question as best as I could. It's getting dark now, isn't it? It's hurting my eyes. I live in East Hollywood, which is like a sneeze away from Hollywood, but it's a part of Hollywood that people don't talk about. It's a combination of like crackheads, gangbangers, rich people, upper middle class people. It's so bizarre. It's hard to explain. Like on this street alone, like okay, like you know what I'm saying, like down the street, right? There's always gonna be around from like 3 to 5 a.m. There's always gonna be prostitutes or sting operation there, and that's normal to me. But if you go up the street, there's a bunch of like nice homes, like we're talking like modern furnished homes, and if you go a block over, it's a bunch of like hipsters, like from like Silver Lake and stuff. But if you go a little bit south from that same block over, it's a gang area. You know what I mean? There's tents and stuff like that. Tweakers, you know, right? People would be doing illicit drugs, buying and selling. It's East Hollywood is such a bizarre place to be from, but I love it. It's like, it's just the right amount of ghetto and not ghetto at the same time. If you're looking for something like thrilling but not so thrilling, here it is. Like, you know, East Hollywood. You know, there's plenty of bars, plenty of gangs, plenty of cafes. You name it, there's everything here. Just walk around, look somewhere. But for the most part, like if you might feel uncomfortable if you start just walking around everywhere, because everyone who lives here has been living here for a long time, and the tweakers and crackers and stuff, they're not very fond to outsiders, and they can tell if you're not from around here. And people in LA are very like that. If you're not from that area of the town, they will either tell you or ask you like, hey, what are you doing here? Or just give you a hard time, you know? Like, now, obviously, like, I could go to the store and the neighborhood crackheads and prostitutes would be like, hey, what's up, Kevin? Hey, what's up? And then literally, and then prior to that, I'm walking past the church. I think we have the biggest Catholic church at the end of my street. It's like a national landmark. You know, it's massive. You can't miss it. Oh, kind of giving away kind of where I live. But, yeah. Anyways, guys, that is the end of the questions. I hope that satisfies you guys. This is really fun, actually. Really, really fun. Great questions. And I hope to do another one, honestly. Because now I feel that much closer to you guys. And that's like the whole point of all this, you know. Maybe it's also a little selfish, but I really do like this whole YouTube thing. I'm glad I started it. Glad I got to start talking to you guys and whatnot. It's really fun. And it's like a little place away from everyone else and everything else where I can really just be myself and I don't have to act a certain way. And it's just a really good feeling. And yeah, if you know of anyone going through what I'm going through, try. Don't push. Or shoot, I don't know what to tell people what to do, but try not to push them. Because that's just going to make them want to retaliate even more. At least that's what it was for me. You know, you'd be surprised just how powerfully a drug addict will defend their drug. They will. Trust me, I did it for years. They will find every excuse in the world as to why it's okay for them to drink that way. And I'm not that person anymore. I'm still learning every day because I've spent my entire life drunk. And now that I'm like, 7 months sober, something I've never done before, I'm learning things about myself I never knew existed. It's really dark now, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day.